Welcome to the Explainer. We're actually just going to throw the standard agenda right out the window today because we really need to jump straight into the deep end of this. We're looking at a high-stakes, incredibly fast-paced disaster scenario. What we're doing today is deconstructing a raw and frankly terrifyingly brief transcript of a crisis literally as it unfolds in real time. We're going to look at the exact words exchanged when a tsunami strikes Haeundae in Busan, and we'll analyze the whole shebang, the pure anatomy of human panic, survival communication, and rescue, word by agonizing word. Mommy, is there anyone out there? I want you to just really sit with the profound darkness of this moment for a second. We're dropped instantly into the very center of a nightmare here. There's no preamble, no context whatsoever. There's just this primal, desperate search for human connection. The use of the word mommy, it reveals this instant regression to our absolute most basic need for safety when everything around us is just collapsing. And then it's followed by, is there anyone out there? A question that just kind of echoes into an agonizing void. It paints a picture of total, sudden isolation.
Okay, let's dive into this. Phase 1, Voices in the Dark. The initial confusion.
So, when a crisis first hits, right before the actual scale of the disaster is fully understood, human beings scramble to establish a baseline of reality. They reach out blindly to piece together what's happening, trying to form a map of their surroundings using only fragmented dialogue. And amidst the frantic hellos and where exactly are you, we get this hyper-specific detail, 17th floor, number 1. Now, you might be wondering, why focus on this seemingly mundane piece of data? Well, in a disaster, specific data points are literally the difference between life and death. Establishing your exact elevation and location early on, absolutely crucial. It's a survival mechanism. The person trapped here instinctively knows they need to anchor themselves in physical space. And in the context of a flood or a tsunami, being on the 17th floor isn't just an address. No way. It's a vital, strategic advantage that's going to directly pay off in the moments to come.
And this brilliantly illustrates the terrifying friction that occurs in emergency communication. On the left side, we have the trapped victim pleading, "Where are you?" Their entire universe is completely condensed into the immediate panic of survival. But then, on the right side, the responder replies with, "I'm nearby. I had a little problem." The disconnect here is staggering. The responder's casual phrasing of "a little problem" clashes so violently with the victim's absolute terror. It perfectly captures how information flows so unevenly during the onset of a disaster, leaving those trapped feeling completely detached from the very help they're begging for.
Moving on to Phase 2, the Haeundae warning, the turning point.
Right here, all that casual confusion completely evaporates. The conversational friction, gone. The pacing of the exchange radically accelerates as we move instantly from localized confusion to the sudden, horrifying realization of an existential, large-scale threat. Walk through this timeline with me for a second and really put yourself in the shoes of someone processing this cascading information in real time. At second 1, you've just confirmed you're trapped on the 17th floor. Your brain is barely processing your physical reality, but just seconds later, the person on the other end dismisses everything else and barks actionable advice. Get up to the top. And before you can even process exactly why you need to go higher than the 17th floor, second 30 hits. The true devastating scale of the threat is revealed. It's honestly a masterclass in how incredibly fast the human brain has to process life-altering, catastrophic shifts in reality.
Notice how the dialogue suddenly just pivots on a dime here. All the previous back and forth, the anyways, the where are yous, it's all completely cut off. The responder takes total command with a direct, unambiguous survival strategy. Get up to the top of the tall building. In the absolute chaos of a collapsing world, effective communication strips away all pleasantries. It becomes entirely about kinetic action. Move, go higher, survive.
So, the crucial point is, this exact sentence right here. There's a tsunami coming to Haeundae. This is the moment the unseen monster is finally given a name. The trapped individual asks, "What?" in pure disbelief, and the responder delivers the catastrophic truth. Just think about the sheer weight of that realization hitting the victim. You aren't just dealing with a localized problem anymore. You are directly in the path of an unstoppable force of nature converging on your specific location.
And then, the terror evolves from auditory to visual. Honey, what is that? Help! The threat is no longer just a warning coming through a speaker. It has materialized right in front of them. The tension here is absolute. The sheer scale of the approaching water totally defies human comprehension, stripping their vocabulary down to raw panic. What is that? It's that terrifying moment of visual confirmation, where the mind simply cannot process the enormity of the destruction bearing down on them.
Which brings us to Phase 3,
Arrival of the rescue. Which brings us to Phase 3, arrival of the rescue, the rescue effort.
Now we shift to the aftermath, where organized help finally intersects with the frantic, isolated panic of the victims. The whole environment changes from one of complete helplessness to one governed by protocols, machinery, and authority. Rescue ship found. Treat these three stark words as the ultimate moment of salvation. After a barrage of desperate questions and terrifying revelations, these three words instantly change the entire trajectory of the crisis. It's this immediate injection of hope into an otherwise completely hopeless scenario. It signals that the isolation is broken. The wider world has successfully navigated the chaos and finally located the victims in the dark.
Instantly, the language of the transcript transforms again. We'll start rescue operations immediately. We have completely left the realm of, honey, what is that? And entered a space of organized, clinical action. It's commanding, it's decisive. This organized response acts as a massive psychological anchor, cutting sharply through the fragmented, terrified communication that defined the first half of this crisis. The professionals have arrived, and they're asserting total control over the chaos. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the exchange closes. Help! Is there anyone out there? Even though the rescue ship has been found, and even though operations are starting immediately, we're met with the exact same desperate cry we saw at the very beginning. It brilliantly illustrates that the arrival of a rescue ship doesn't just magically erase the psychological trauma. The lingering, frantic cries of confusion echo into the darkness, reminding us that while the physical rescue is underway, the human mind remains trapped in the sheer terror of the event.
As we wrap up our analysis of this intense transcript, I really want you to ask yourself something. If communication broke down today, would you know how to navigate the chaotic moments before a disaster strikes? This brief exchange from Hyundai proves that in those first critical seconds, information, clear, actionable, and rapid information, is literally your only lifeline. Would you know what data to prioritize? Would you know how to separate the noise from the actual survival commands? It's definitely a sobering thought. But understanding the anatomy of these crisis communications might just be what keeps you anchored when the unimaginable